Hey guys, I'm Randy Unger, and welcome to another episode of Unger the Radar, where we talk all things film. And tonight we're going to be discussing one of cinema history's greatest franchises, the James Bond series of films. The acclaimed 007. He is a super spy. Women love him. He has enemies wherever he goes. And we've been getting some great movies, some not so great movies since about 1961, I want to say, and a little bit even before that, with Ian Fleming, who created this iconic character. He's graced the silver screen 25 times, if not a little bit more, and numerous actors have played him. He is a timeless, he's a classic character, a loved hero, and he's gone on many adventures, and we are going to discuss his career through film. But first, I just want to welcome two guests of mine, two fellow critics. We have Mr. Matt Haberman, aka Kid Champagne. Matt, welcome.
Thank you for having me back, Randy. Hello there, everyone. Kid Champagne is signed on.
Awesome.
And shaken, not stirred.
Yeah. He's prepared, ladies and gentlemen. He is prepared. He's ready to go. And also here in the room, we've got Mr. Eric Godfrey. Welcome back, sir.
Eric Godfrey.
Lovely, sir. Many penny.
Pleased to meet you.
Yes, and quite. That's pretty good. So, guys, we have the new film, No Time to Die, the fifth and final outing of Daniel Craig as 007. I feel, and I'm not alone here, that Daniel Craig has really brought the character to new heights, to new emotional heights. I don't think we've seen much of the emotional side of 007, and we've really seen over the past 15 years a really great character development here. And they've really fleshed him out. Daniel Craig has delivered some great performances through these five films, and with No Time to Die, I think this is a lovely way to say goodbye to the character, to at least his interpretation of the character. So, Matt, I know you unfortunately did not get a chance to see the film.
I did not get a chance to see this film, but I do have my views on the whole Daniel Craig part of his films, from Casino Royale to No Time to Die. Now, I don't. It has never been really done before in any of the Bond films. They've just gone from film to film to film.
Yeah,
with no really big connection.
Right. No
Daniel
continuity.
Craig's films have all been, in a way, connected throughout the series, from Casino Royale, from Quantum of Solace, Skyfall, No Time. It was just amazing.
Inspector.
Yeah.
That's it.
There's just so many films, but I mean, for what I've been hearing from this, is just a way for this, and coming out, it just leaves that, where is the series going to go from there? Now that, because usually, like all the actors who do Bond films, we an average of 4 to 5 films.
Yeah,
I knew I saw this. We saw this coming.
Right. And you guys know my policy on spoilers. This is a spoiler-free zone, so guys, be careful. I know it's tempting.
Won't spoil anything.
Right. But yeah, the continuity, the evolution of the character is really strong with the Craig films, and at some point, it doesn't even feel like a Bond film. It just feels like a really good thriller / drama. And again, Craig's acting is terrific, and I love the man's work. I love Knives Out, and I'm actually a little bit sad seeing him go, seeing him, not be 007 anymore, because for the past 15 years, that's all I've thought about Daniel Craig. But Eric, what are your thoughts on the film, since you did see the film?
Yeah, I did go see No Time to Die. Overall, I liked it. It's one of those things where it's kind of like a lot of Bond. Like my whole thing about Spectre, like I didn't like Spectre overall, but it was a series of good Bond sequences in a bad Bond movie. Like that's how I felt about Spectre. Like it's like, oh man, the train fight with Batista, that was really great. Or that the opening thing with the Day of the Dead, that's great. Why
Right.
wasn't there a good movie to put all these really cool scenes in?
Well, you know what? I have the exact same stance on Quantum of Solace,
Hmm.
but I also think that the editing in that film was atrocious.
Hmm. Yes.
It had
But
some really good action moments.
yeah, you're right. Like Quantum of Solace, you're like, oh, whatever, this movie's blah, blah, blah. And then you get the weird hydrogen exploding hotel at the end, and it's actually like a really great finale. And you're like, wait, this is actually a pretty good final moment for Quantum of Solace. Why wasn't this in the rest of the movie?
Yeah, that weird like hotel in the middle of
Yeah, the explodey hydrogen hotel.
that was odd, but
Yeah.
it did give us a really good villain.
Yeah, I do agree. Green was a great villain because what I appreciated about Craig is for the majority of the time his villains weren't. They were trying not to be the I have a giant space laser pointed at the sun, pay me $100 million, or I
Right.
blow up Washington, Mr. President.
Right,
It
right.
was like that's why I think the Craig villains were always much more unique because they were usually like a Shreve, a gun runner and a financier in over his head, or Green from Quantum, who was a guy who was just looking to control geopolitical politics,
And you
and
know,
in Skyfall, just a guy looking for revenge essentially against MI6.
and we have another villain in No Time to Die who just simply wants revenge. But the way
Yeah.
he goes about it is so, it's like so subtle, so quiet, and so sincerely creepy.
Mhm.
Rami Malik is one of my favorite Bond villains, bar none.
Saffron.
He was terrifying in this.
His introduction at the beginning, the whole thing with the crepey mask and that weird little disheveled slink that he had, and I always enjoy the more quiet, nuanced, more methodical Bond villains.
Hmm.
Like there's a time and a place for the over the top, and don't get me wrong, Bond villains have run all over when it comes to over the top, but I usually prefer the ones that always feel like a genuine threat to James and everything are the ones who can more outthink him.
Right.
And I think Craig has benefited from some great bad guys.
Yeah.
Like
It's
for
really
me personally, Lashreef from Mads Mikkelsen from Casino
right.
is one of my all-time favorite Bond villains.
Right. And the weeping blood was a really evil, disturbing touch. But you're right, with the exception of like Javier Bardem's character in Skyfall, we've definitely have more, subdued, psychologically warped villains, and it makes it really special.
But and I think that goes to Craig's villains have always tried to, like I said, Bond villains, we always think of Blofeld, we always think of hidden volcano layers, we always think of Moonraker, we think of these big elaborate things. Like even Brosnan's final Die Another Day was literally giant space laser.
Yeah, literally
pointed at the Earth. And so, and I feel like
it's always like, these are ways to kill him. These are always ways, but he finds a way.
Yeah.
Right.
Matt,
and Craig has these grounded villains, which has always helped him, I think, a lot.
Right. And I'm curious, Matt, out of the Bond films that you have seen, who are maybe some of your favorite villains?
One thing I haven't really, that's one I never really paid attention to the villains. I think if anyone I gotta say is Dr. No.
Oh wow. Well, yeah. Brilliant.
First villain out of it.
Yeah.
He's so iconic.
The first Sean Connery film, the first theatrical, I believe it was the first theatrical Bond film. And so iconic.
The first mainstream one, with Bond, yeah.
But yeah, his villains, especially in the 70s and 80s, became very cartoonish, which I loved. I loved, I think it was Draco in Moonraker.
Yes.
That was one of the more fun ones and one of my favorites. It was just so ridiculous. And it's just really, sometimes it's more fun to see the villain than Bond himself. Because
I also like the villain in Casino Royale.
Yeah,
Chief.
Mads Mikkelsen was brilliant. And yeah, so let's see here. No Time to Die. It's bittersweet because Craig is leaving, and he definitely left a mark.
Oh
Um,
yeah, yeah.
um, and
But I think what was really cool about No Time to Die overall now is it's kind of interesting the fact that, like what Matt was saying, that every Bond is basically self-contained. That even though there's characteristics, the martinis, the James Bond, the suits, Q, M, all of them continue, and so it's kind of like there's little characteristics of Bond, but it's always everyone's kind of it's like every time a movie starts, it's always like a reset. The Bond girl is previously gone,
right.
and so it's just kind of a new adventure, a new whatever. And Craig now has with Casino to No Time to Die like a 5 movie. This is him, and so it's
Right.
like from whatever we go to next, it will be a new Bond. It will be a new everything, and I think that's
Right.
interesting to have this 5 movies that we say this is just Daniel Craig's Bond. Whatever happens next, it's that person's and that person's story as well. He will not pick up any plot lines. There won't be any Christoph Waltz Blofeld. There won't be any of this. It's going to be a whole new everything from the ground up once again.
Right. Well, when
It took some time with Pierce Brosnan, like after that, Brosnan, and we got Daniel Craig in Casino Royale. Well, let's face it, during our relevance in lifetime, for how I know through my lifetime, James Bond, I felt didn't start up again that was relevant to me was GoldenEye.
That was I guess you would call it a reboot, or they just kind of
was because the Dalton ones, as
Yeah.
I think Dalton is the most underappreciated of the Bonds. Like I think Dalton was what they were trying to do with Dalton is what they did with Craig. That's what they wanted. They wanted this grittier reboot. They wanted this kind of this more, we're going back, we're getting away from the sexy Bond and more of this is the guy, this is the assassin.
Yeah.
And Dalton, I thought, did a good job. His 2 movies are all right.
Yeah.
And it kind of like we had to wait for Brosnan to come in and rebuild the franchise with GoldenEye, which of course is like one of the best Bond movies ever made.
Yes, it was.
So with Dalton, we get a very cold, calculated assassin, a killer. And literally in his second movie titled License to Kill, that's exactly what he is. He is a killing machine. He didn't really crack jokes as much.
No.
And yeah, you're right. It didn't focus on the women so much. It was just more about him, especially in License to Kill, about revenge, a man fueled by revenge. And I wanted to go back a little bit about the continuity of the original Bond films. So I believe it was on Her Majesty's Secret Service, his brief wife was killed. And then they do reference it in at least one other, For Your Eyes Only, because in that opening spoiler, he visits her grave, and that's when Blofeld shows up in a helicopter with a cat and starts. That is another ridiculous opening sequence, and one of my favorites because Bill Conti, who did the score, it's a very funky, like disco-y 70s, early 80s take on the Bond theme. And it's beautiful. I love the music in For Your Eyes Only. And in, A View to a Kill, basically all the Roger Moore films they hold a special place in my heart as some of my favorite Bond entries. So I just want to switch gears a little. Eric, who are some of your favorite actors to be 007?
I mean, I do think Dalton is the most underappreciated. I do think, like, especially License to Kill is a legitimately great Bond movie. Living Daylights, all right, but License to Kill, one, you got a great villain, and then again with continuity, if I remember right, it's Felix who does get killed at the beginning of License to Kill, which is what starts the revenge for Bond. And Felix is not in any of the Brosnan movies. They replace him with Jack from the CIA.
Wait a minute, that was Joe Don Baker, right? I thought he wasn't Felix then.
He was Jack. They made a whole new character for him. He was basically Felix.
Okay.
But they kept Felix's death from License to Kill, and so Felix was rebooted. The first, like Felix with in Casino, that was the first time we'd seen him since the 80s.
Interesting. Played by a brilliant Jeffrey Wright, I must add.
Oh, when he showed up at Casino, I cheered in my seat.
Yeah, seeing him in No Time to Die, that was one of the highlights of the film, in my opinion. And side note, thrilled that he's going to be the new Commissioner Gordon. So,
Absolutely, and he's also the Watcher.
Yeah, he's a great actor. He's really, really.
But as far as favorite Bonds, I don't mean to be boring, but I mean Connery is. It's his character. It's always going to be Connery.
Sure.
It's hard to top that.
I know.
I think it's also because my favorite Bond movie is a Connery one. So it's I love Sean Connery's. It's what's not to love. But then, and of course Brosnan. Yeah. But there's honestly my least favorite, and this is probably going to hurt you, is Moore. But even then, I don't think Moore is that bad.
Okay. Well,
it's more of his movies.
Yeah, he was good. He was very smooth, very likable. And again, the cartoonish aspect of his was so much fun. But yeah, Connery is like the creme de la creme. He's the best.
Yeah.
The creme de la creme. He's like, if there was like a James Bond Hall of Fame, let's face it, there's like a handful of actors who played. But
yeah,
if you want to talk about the first class, you got to put in Sean Connery.
Yeah.
And I would say Daniel Craig would go into the first class too. I have to put Daniel Craig in the first class.
Yeah.
And
Connery.
Yeah, I'd probably go Connery, Craig, Brosnan, tie between Dalton and Moore, and then Lazenby is the exchange student who who only went to school for one day.
Like, where the hell did this kid come from? What is he doing?
You know? Oh, his dad transferred out of school. Okay, bye. All right.
Yeah, he was 29 years old when he did On Her Majesty's Secret Service, and that was his one and only outing as Bond. It's been a while. I've seen bits and pieces of it. I don't really like him. I'll be honest with you. He was definitely the weaker of the
I would not want to follow Connery.
it was weird too, because he did that, and it was basically sandwiched between You Only Live Twice and Diamonds Are Forever, which were both Connery films. So I don't know why. Maybe Eric, you can shed some light as to why Connery was not in that film, On Her Majesty's Secret Service.
He just was done. He was like, I think at that point he had done, was it 4 or was it 3 before? He had done a number of them. And so he's pretty much like, I've been playing this character. I'm ready to walk away.
Right.
And of course the problem was the public was like, no, we need more. And Lazenby is stupid, even though in hindsight, he's not that bad. Her Majesty's Secret Service is actually a pretty decent.
A really good movie. Yeah. But he's great. Right.
And it's one of those ones where I feel like he could have grown into the role, but it's just, those are some big shoes to step in, and he was not ready for the job. And so then basically you have Lazenby comes in, it just doesn't work, and then the producers are just like throwing cash, begging Connery, please, please. Yeah. He's like, fine, I'll come back for a couple more.
Yeah. 10 million, I'll take it. Yes, throw in an Aston Martin.
Yeah.
But Connery, I don't know, but with the Diamonds Are Forever, there was something kind of off about that film. It was kind of sloppy. Then again, it is a lot better than You Only Live Twice.
They did bring back Sean Connery in the 1980s. He did return as James Bond for Never Say Never Again.
Which is unofficially a Bond movie.
Right. That was like, it wasn't done by Albert R. Broccoli or Eon.
Yeah. So it's still a Bond movie, but it's not in the canon, even though it is still him doing Bond. It's weird.
It's like a spin-off in a weird way. I don't even.
Yeah, kind of.
I don't even think they did the traditional. I don't think with that one. I don't think they did the traditional gun barrel scene in it.
No, they didn't. They just opened with a weird training montage with Connery running through the forest. It's a very weird little opening. But he was in his 50s at that time, and he looked great. He still had it. So but that's his character through and through.
Not to mention Kim Basinger was in that too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. It's been a while since I've seen that one as well. Yeah, but it hasn't. There's like weird scenes in it that I don't really remember. Like there's like a scuba diving battle or something, like an underwater
Yeah,
battle. It's
never
like,
say never. I mean, even the fact that the title is literally making fun of Connery saying he'll never play Bond again.
that's funny. It's a
And
great, by the way, great theme song, I must say.
Mhm.
And that's a good segue. Do you guys have any favorite Bond theme songs, Matt?
Yes, I
Yes.
do have a few. Actually, Live and Let Die by Paul McCartney and Wings is always on my top. And actually, I was listening to that one today.
Okay.
Second one, I mean, I do like it. Madonna's Die Another Day.
Mm.
That's a,
Okay. And if
that's
we're
that's
going to
interesting.
the Brosnan series, I'd say Goldeneye is pretty strong by
Yes.
Tina Turner. Yeah, I love A View to a Kill by Duran Duran as well, Roger Moore. Of course, the classic stuff. Even though Dr. No didn't have an official theme song, it did have a theme, an instrumental piece written by Monty Norman, the classic James Bond theme that has been used in pretty much every single entry since 1962.
Oh, yeah.
So, that iconic theme is it's just great.
and
Of
also with that, it's like in every single one, it's the gun barrel scene in the first.
course.
It's except like I know this in the Daniel Craig films, they haven't really done the. I've known Casino Royale, the gun barrel scene was definitely a lot different.
Yeah. I think
But-
they did it at the end credits. If I'm not
They
mistaken.
did at the end credits, I think, for Skyfall.
Yeah.
It
was-
You're right. And like in No Time to Die, they don't do it, but they do have a scene where
Mhm.
he's walking out and does the pose and shoots a guy.
Right.
So it's a thing of where they reference it, but they don't actually do the gun barrel sequence, even though he still has the thing where it's like that's clearly supposed to be him doing it.
I love it. I love it. And yeah, actually, some of my favorite. I'm going back to Roger Moore again. For Your Eyes Only. It had that funky '70s rendition of the theme. Also, A View to a Kill. Actually, Octopussy. I forgot Octopussy. That's a fun one. Sorry guys for that title. I didn't title that. I didn't name that movie. But yeah, that
Well,
one.
it was actually based on the book. The book was titled Octopus.
Oh, was it? Okay.
Even Fleming's books that were made into it, definitely Dr. No, License to Kill, Goldfinger.
Oh, no, License to Kill was what was it? I think an original script. It wasn't based on.
No, I think it was a book.
Was it?
Yeah, unfortunately, I'm not familiar with which books because Casino Royale was one,
Right.
and Quantum of
Yes, it
Solace was a
was.
short that he wrote.
Okay.
And yeah, I think From Russia with Love was a book.
Right. Like the pretty much all the Connery ones. I
Yeah,
think.
all of them, at least the titles are taken from the books.
Moonraker, Dr. No,
Mhm.
Goldfinger, For Your Eyes Only, Thunderball, You Only Live Twice, The Spy Who Loved Me. They were all books.
Okay.
And by the
Earl
way,
Fleming with his collection.
yeah, and Eric, you're a comic book guy. Have you been up to date with the James Bond series of comics?
I have not. I've heard they're good, but
Yeah.
I've been always wanting to check them out, but I've never gotten around to them.
They look really good. I think there's also a crossover between James Bond and like Indiana Jones. I could be mistaken, but I think that would be
There could be. I'm not familiar with
that
it.
could be a fun read. If it hasn't been made, please, someone out there, do it. Write it. But Matt, you mentioned The Spy Who Loved Me, and I think that is tied for that and Goldfinger is my favorite Bond film.
The top three most watched films is Dr. No, The Spy Who Loved Me, and Goldfinger. And if you can think back to this and I'm going to put this out there with Austin Powers, they made fun of those three films, those top three Bond films.
Oh yeah. Yeah, you Only Live Twice, that basically that volcano headquarters.
Oh, that's why I have such a love-hate with You Only Live Twice, because it is the movie where Bond is disguised as an Asian, and it's like no, Pierce Brosnan, don't do that.
No.
Sorry, or Sean Connery, don't do that. Don't do that.
Yeah.
But then it's also Blowfield in a secret volcano lair that the good guys have to literally are ninjas to fight Spectre inside of a secret volcano lair.
Oh my God. It's so ridiculous. So off the wall. That's actually one of my least favorite installments. I'll be honest with you guys.
And that's why it's always so frustrating, because it has the elements that you think of with Bond, but it's in a movie that, you're right, is one of the ones you don't want to go back and rewatch.
Right. Oh man. Eric, I don't know if you mentioned already, do you have a top 2, top 3 favorite installments?
Oh, well, the theme songs, I do have to agree, Live and Let Die,
Okay.
best one. I think if I'm going to do ones that are kind of overlooked, Nobody Does It Better from Spy Who Loved Me.
Right.
I love that theme song. And I had another one, but yeah, and I mean, Skyfall. Oh, and
Yep.
You Know My Name from Casino Royale was one that really grew on me. I think Casino Royale, yeah, You Know My Name, that's one that it's like the first time I heard it, it didn't really sit with me, but I've gone back and it's like, you know what? No, this is a really good theme song.
Okay, cool.
But as far as the movies go, From Russia with Love, best Bond movie ever made. Just nothing has come close to from that one. I
gotta rewatch that.
Yeah.
I love From Russia with Love. Everything great about Bond is right in that movie. Best henchman, best story, best all Connery moments,
best gadget,
the attaché case.
Yes.
So love that movie. Absolutely love it to death.
So
I'd say second would be Goldfinger.
Okay.
And I'd say third, I'm always torn between GoldenEye and Casino, because it's the problem of Martin Campbell is that secret sauce for Bond movies, and he made 2 of the best in the franchise.
You know what? Not even Bond. He did Zorro justice. He did he had a pretty overlooked, a great action thriller in Vertical Limit. That's right. I referenced Vertical.
Yes.
That's a fun movie, and
it
Martin
is.
Campbell. He knows how to push the audience's buttons. He's great at action directing, and I need to explore his filmography more. But I think I just named the top few. The best of his career.
It's the thing of, like, both times when Bond has needed to reinvent itself for a new generation, Campbell's been the one to make it happen, with GoldenEye in the 90s and Casino Royale in the 2000s. It's like, it's hard for me not to be like, they should just say, hey, Martin Campbell, can you please, whoever the next Bond is, can you please direct the movie, because you're the guy who makes it happen.
That's a great point. So back to From Russia with Love, though, that attaché case.
Love it.
I think around the time that movie came out, they actually marketed a toy briefcase for that movie. And, when I was a kid, around the time GoldenEye came out in like 1995, I found out about this briefcase with like all these goodies inside, all these gadgets, all these weapons. And, they had this antique toy of it. It was like $500, and my parents, they didn't want to get it for me for obvious reasons, but I'm still to this day, over a quarter of a century later, I'm thinking of this attaché case, this toy, and I still want it. Maybe I'll get it eventually, but as a prop, a souvenir. But yeah, I don't know how they marketed those toys to kids, but
yeah, I don't know back then. But yeah, no, if we're doing best gadgets, yeah, the attaché case from Russia, because I'm always, for Bond, I'm always his best gadgets are the ones that are like the hidden away ones, like something in the watch, something in the belt buckle. And the attaché case is like, what if we give Bond an entire like arsenal in this great little cool case? And it's like, it's got a knife, it's got the smoke bomb if you don't open it right, it's got the rifle in there, it's just like, yeah, the attaché case has everything.
And going back to GoldenEye, actually, the exploding pen, big fan. Really fun one. The scene with what's Alan Cumming. Yeah, where he's clicking it, and it's so good.
And see, that's why it's like GoldenEye. We want to talk about. We missed Alec Trevelyan as one of my favorite Bond villains of all
Sean Bean.
time.
Sure.
I mean, like you want to talk about like great final fights between Bond and Trevelyan on the satellite dish. I mean, it's just it's one of the best fights in all of Bond.
And you know what? One of my favorite levels in GoldenEye for Nintendo 64, ladies and gentlemen, we're getting into this territory. Matt, were you a fan of GoldenEye on then?
Oh yes, I was.
Yeah.
Oh yes, I was.
Now I wish we could play it right now. I think on Twitch they do stuff like I'm showing my age here, but yeah. Classic video game, guys. If you don't know, 1996 Nintendo 64 came out with one of the first really popular first-person shooters, GoldenEye, based on the film of the same name. And this game had some of the best multiplayer ever, in my opinion. And for my money, it doesn't get better than Remote Mines. Or no, sorry, Proximity Mines.
Proximity Mines, yes.
That was it.
And then always having to yell at your friend when they picked Odd Job, like, no one's picking Odd Job. You're not picking Odd Job.
And unlocking those secret locations, secret weapons, secret characters. I'm getting excited just thinking about it. I have an N64. I just have to get the necessary.
And you need to go and get GoldenEye.
I know. Yeah. Hey, you guys are invited, and we're gonna play. Okay, multiplayer.
Would love to.
That's not the only thing. The other video game that I love from for the 007 is Everything or Nothing.
Yes,
that was a good one from PlayStation 2. I remember playing it. It was like playing a movie of James Bond.
Yeah. And that was I think third person shooter.
Because what was nice was it was EA at the time, and at the time they decided they wanted to make the games into their own thing rather than just we're going to make GoldenEye into a game or we're going to make Quantum of Solace into a game. They're like, no, we're just going to start making original Bond games. And with that one, what was nice was they finally got Pierce Brosnan to come in, do the face, do the motion capture, do the voiceover. So they just decided, let's get Willem Dafoe as the bad guy. Let's get Shannon Elizabeth as the Bond girl. And let's make this really fun adventure.
They got Richard Kiel.
Richard Kiel came back as Jaws.
Oh, that's cool. That is awesome. Oh man.
And let's just make a really fun Bond shooter. And it worked. It was really good.
It was just so fluid too. The movement, the gameplay, and the weapons were so good. I remember particularly a handheld rocket launcher, which looked great. And yeah, there was a shotgun, there was handheld, there were pistols and machine guns. And I think there was also a driving level, if I'm not mistaken, in the Aston Martin. Another great game. EA Games knocked it out of the park with that one. And they actually did another side note. They did one of my favorite first-person shooters as well, Black, which was also on the PS2, right at the tail end of the PS2's run. PS3 was right around the corner. But Black was a great game from EA Games.
Agreed.
Eric, do you know roughly how many Pierce Brosnan PS2 games there were?
Because the weird thing was the first one from EA was Agent Under Fire. And the weird thing was they didn't have the rights to Brosnan. So they used this weird, kind of looks like Sean Connery.
Oh, like a silhouette.
Quite. Yeah. But it's weird. And it was a decent shooter with some problems. Like the one thing that got very annoying fast, if you got a headshot, it would play the Bond theme. And so if you go into a room and you're like, oh, that's cool. But then there's like 100 guys, you just hear dun 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 dun. It's like, all right, maybe turn that off.
Right.
And then the next one they did was Nightfall, which was a great first-person shooter. If you ever get a chance to, Nightfall on the consoles and that.
Okay.
But that one again, Brosnan was like, you can use my likeness, but I won't voice the character. And so you have Brosnan's face with a weird person who sounded nothing like Pierce Brosnan. And then Everything or Nothing came after that, and then they were like, and Brosnan was like, "Oh, okay, I'll finally do the whole thing for this one." And then after that, they took the Everything or Nothing game engine and did one from Russia with Love.
Right.
And I think Connery came back to voice Bond in that one. I don't remember if he did
I
or
think he
not.
did. I think I remember that.
Mhm.
That was like that was around 2006 or so.
Yeah, and I think they made a big deal. They're like, yeah, we got Connery to voice Bond in this and a video game adaptation of From Russia with Love, which it's they added a lot of new things to it, so it's still based on the movie, but like there's a whole like a jetpack level where you're going around Big Ben. So
Yeah.
they had some artistic license with it, and it was pretty good. It was just really short.
Yeah, I remember being really excited for that one because it was the follow-up to Everything or Nothing.
Mhm.
But I remember being let down because he only really had two weapons. He had a pistol and a machine gun, and the jetpack was like the main selling point. And it just was a little boring in my opinion.
Yeah, it was nowhere near as the variety as Everything or Nothing.
Yeah. So I kind of wish they would have done one for every movie. That would have been kind of cool.
Yeah, the last one they did was they did a joint. They Blood. There was this one called, I think it was like Bloodstone or Blood something for Craig, which was meh. And then they did a Casino Royale and Quantum of Solace mix, which was just the Quantum of Solace, where it told parts of Casino Royale and parts of Quantum, which was actually pretty good, but it was just so short. It was hard to like you start it up and like 3 hours later you're already done. But after that we've not seen a new Bond game since then, and it's always been depressing.
Yeah,
maybe time for a new Bond game.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Matt, for you, other than GoldenEye, are there any Bond games that stick out for you?
Well, GoldenEye and Everything or Nothing were my two favorite of the Bond games. Other than that, I didn't feel into playing the others. It was like Everything or Nothing was perfect. I like that, and GoldenEye.
Yeah. And with GoldenEye, I think about a decade ago, they did for the Wii, it was like an updated version of it.
Yeah, they did a remake of it.
How was that, Eric? Did you?
I didn't get a chance to play it.
I heard
it was
neither did I.
Yeah. It's interesting.
Oh, and they also did try to make a sequel to they did like GoldenEye 2, like Rogue Agent, which was not good.
I think
that was for PS2.
Perfect Dark for the N64 was like an unofficial sequel, in my opinion, to GoldenEye. Fantastic game. All right, so we covered gadgets. I just want to get into favorite cars. I know there is the iconic Aston Martin DB5 that we all know and love. But for me, I actually really like the Aston Martin in The Living Daylights. It's like this 80s Aston Martin. I forget what it was. I think it was the Volante, the Aston Martin Volante.
Yes, that sounds right.
And I thought that the weapons on that were pretty cool in that movie. And of course, actually Pierce Brosnan has driven most of the Aston Martin variations in his films. And he also drove the BMW Z3 in GoldenEye, which
for all of 5 seconds.
Yeah, I love the Z3.
I was so disappointed as a 10-year-old boy when I did not get to see like the rockets flying out of the headlights, the machine guns, the lasers, or what, there was so much potential there. And then they kind of fumbled it in The World Is Not Enough. There's like a weird scene.
Well, because as much as I love GoldenEye, like I said, it's one of the best Bond movies ever made. The car, unfortunately, is the thing that gets sidelined for the rest of it. And I do remember they made a note of Tomorrow Never Dies to have that entire sequence with the remote controlled, because it's a BMW in that as well.
That's a 7 Series in that one.
Yeah. Which is a pretty decent sequence in the movie, where they pretty much put that in Tomorrow Never Dies because everyone complained about no car in GoldenEye.
Right. That is a great scene where he's in the back seat with the remote control, for sure. In GoldenEye, there was a tank chase, that sequence.
One of the best scenes.
It's like cool.
One of my all-time. This is why I love Brosnan so much. One of the all-time great moments is when he crashes the tank and then he just stops, looks, adjusts the tie, and just keeps going. Is just one of the all-time like Brosnan moments.
Well, I think that kind of like that coolness has been present throughout the entire franchise. I mean, Connery did that a lot. I think I forget which one it was. I think it was Thunderball, where he's basically making out with a woman in bed, and he checks his watch. he's kissing her, and then he looks at his watch, like he looks away at his watch for a second, and then continues kissing her. It's like so cool, you know. Only Bond can do stuff like that, you know.
Exactly. Only Bond could drive a tank through Russia and care about making sure that his tie didn't come undone.
Matt, do you have any favorite vehicles for Bond?
The first Aston Martin car from Dr. No is the best, which I feel is one of my favorites. And the BMW Z3 and Die Another Day.
Well, let me correct you. I'm sorry. He the first time we see the Aston Martin DB5 was, I believe, Goldfinger.
Yeah, it was Goldfinger.
And yeah, and that was with the Q basically asking Bond to please return it in one piece, which we have a lovely nod to Desmond Llewellyn, who was the original Q. We get the kind of a similar vibe in the new Q. In the last, I think it was the last two films of the Craig era.
He started in Skyfall.
Oh, did it?
Yeah, Winshaw started as the new Q, and Skyfall was his first one.
And he's one of the best things in the movie, in my opinion.
Absolutely.
He great actor. I honestly, I don't know much about the young man, but I love his work, and I'm definitely going to check out his filmography as well.
He's Paddington.
I'm sorry?
He's the voice of Paddington.
Oh, is he? Oh,
I love that. Paddington 1 and 2. There you go. Two of the greatest movies ever made. You get to watch now for him.
Why do we not hear more about Paddington? The first one was brilliant. I didn't see the sequel, but I love the first one.
Oh, sequel is even better.
Yeah. Why do I think of what's the rabbit one with James Corden? Peter Rabbit?
Yeah, Peter Rabbit, I think, yeah.
Okay, I always like confuse Paddington with Peter Rabbit. I don't know why. It's just a weird thing. But I'm going to check out Paddington too. That
Absolutely.
Cool. Sounds good.
I think I want to give a special shout out to DB5, best one. But from Moore, the Lotus, the underwater Lotus
is free. Yeah.
That's I mean, that's a great, not just a great car, but the submarines.
Yep.
Pretty cool.
Really cool with the anti-aircraft missiles from under the water. I love it.
Yep.
That was a really slick car. Sadly, it gets overshadowed by Aston Martin, but I agree with you. That's probably my second favorite car, next to the Aston Martin. I mean, I do like the 80s Aston Martin a lot. I don't know if it's my favorite Bond car, but yeah, it's pretty great. Okay, let's see here. Okay, and this is another topic I wanted to discuss briefly. Bond girls. Do you guys do you have a favorite Bond girl? Oh
yeah.
That you're if your wives are listening right now, I apologize in advance, but I'm just curious. Are there any Bond girls that stick out for you, Matt?
There is one, and I will say this because I don't know if you read the article, which is how that they ranked the all the Bond girls from 1 to 50 film school rejects, but one that stands out to me, Pussy Galore.
She was good. She was very good.
In Goldfinger.
Yeah, I think she gets killed by Oddjob, right? She gets he throws the hat at her and kills her.
How is she done? You were like, I'm blanking on. I think you might be right, but I'm completely blanking on how she goes.
But she was good because she was feisty and she held her own. That scene where they were kind of in this barn and they're kind of like wrestling a little bit. She was very good. For me, I think the Bond girls in the Craig era have been really, well drawn out. Vesper Lind brilliant.
Yes.
It's not
Vesper
really,
is the best.
it's heartbreaking what happened to her. It's really painful, and it really adds to the psychology of James Bond, especially the Craig, obviously the Craig Bond. But yeah, I don't think it's a spoiler that the movie's 15 years old. She passes away. She gets killed in the movie, and basically up until No Time to Die, Craig's Bond is like still, he has that pain in him throughout pretty much all 5 movies.
Yeah, and she's such a great character. You're like, you know what? 15 years later, I wouldn't be over her either.
Yeah.
And I also liked Honey Rider from Dr. No, the first Bond girl.
Ursula Andress, right?
Yep.
Ursula Andress.
The iconic shot of her coming up out of the surf.
Yeah,
I feel like one that Natasha from GoldenEye, I think is one of the most underrated Bond girls, because again, she gets like with Vesper, it's not just the yes, she's very attractive, but the fact that she's such an integral part of the movie and is genuinely helping Bond throughout the entire. It's like that's what I always like. I always like a Bond girl that isn't just eye candy, but is also very useful for both the plot and that. And Natasha fits on all of those.
And she was also pretty terrifying in the first half of the movie or so, first few minutes anyway, crushing men with her thighs.
Oh no, you're thinking Xenia.
Oh, you're right. You're right.
See,
yes.
Xenia gets that perfect balance of Bond girl and great henchman. Like Xenia on the top is the perfect blend of the two.
Yeah, gotcha.
And it's Natasha. Yeah, she's the computer specialist who was working on the GoldenEye that Bond saves, and she ends up being with him the whole movie.
Yeah,
it's Natasha. I'm trying to make sure I'm not actually mixing her up. Yeah, Black Widow.
Xenia is Famke Janssen. Yeah, okay. I think Natasha.
Or is it Natalia? No, it's Natalia.
Is it Natalia?
Because I think I'm thinking Black Widow, Natasha.
You're mixing it all.
I'm mixing all of my spies up.
That's fine.
But I think it's Natalia.
All right. And for me, sorry.
Yeah. Oh no, sorry. Yeah.
So the Spy Who Loved Me, Barbara Bach, who was married or still married, I don't think they're still together, met to Ringo Starr.
Yes.
Not a very good actress, but very beautiful and very memorable. So she was great in that. I'm blanking on her name for A View to a Kill, something Roberts. I believe she passed away fairly recently, but she was very good as well. And I want to go back to villains real quick. I forgot to mention, aside from Blofeld being very memorable, we also have Max Zorin from A View to a Kill, played by none other than Christopher Walken. Bond, I'm gonna kill you now. And he was one of my favorite villains ever.
He is the highlight of the movie.
Yeah, that the final battle on the Golden Gate Bridge was fantastic, I must say. And Matt, I forget, did you mention your favorite villain?
Dr. No.
Doctor. Okay, gotcha. Nice. And Eric, what was yours again?
I feel like of the villains, because I'm always having henchmen and villains. I think villains is probably Goldfinger.
Nice.
I mean, you don't get Hank Scorpio without Goldfinger. So
he's playing his golden harp. So and his henchman was Oddjob, who one of the most memorable henchmen. Absolutely. And we haven't mentioned yet another great henchman, Jaws.
The best.
I think we first see him in The Spy Who Loved Me. And then in Moonraker, he actually turns out good, which is amazing. With that,
because he falls in love.
Yeah, he falls in love with that small blonde woman with pigtails. Yeah. What the hell is happening here?
And somehow survives re-entry because he's Jaws.
I'm just gonna also mention, I loved him in Happy Gilmore as well.
Yes.
Yes. Awesome. All right. Well, guys, I just want to do pause for a little commercial break, but we'll be back with more of this wonderful discussion of Bond when we get back.
Under the Radar is brought to you by Magnitude Jewelry
add a 2 to match your attitude. Patent pending, interchange genuine gemstone and crystal EMF protection jewelry. For more information, please visit magnitudejewelry.com/gemgirl or call 718-268-6634.
Younger under the radar. And yeah, I mean, we can go on forever. Diamonds are forever about this. But I love Bond. He is one of cinema history's greatest heroes. And
I want to also I want to also mention, like, if you really want more of Bond, if you really want to go back to our childhood dreams, the Saturday morning cartoon, James Bond Jr.
Right.
I watched that.
Wow. Yeah, I watched that too. On it was on Cartoon Network, I think. And he was James.
He was the
Bond.
nephew of James
He was his
Bond.
nephew.
003 and a half.
Was it? That's so bad.
What was the name of his Q? It wasn't because wasn't it also like Q's son that was in school with him?
I don't know.
I thought he had. It was IQ. Wasn't that the name of the kid that helped him?
I want to say yes. It sounds right.
Sounds like something the show would do.
And I remember it had a really good toy line too. Some good vehicles, some good action features. So thank you for mentioning that, Matt. I didn't even think of James Bond Jr.
Oh, you're welcome.
Because the one thing Bond needed was will he save the world before curfew?
That's a great tagline, actually.
There's a part of me that's like, is that the tagline? Like,
I hope it was. But yeah, so good. And yeah, this conversation, again, it makes me want to play GoldenEye all the more. And yeah. So guys, I just want to go into some coming attractions for this week real quick. This week we have Dune, the sci-fi action adventure reboot based on Frank Herbert's science fiction novel. It's got Timothée Chalamet. I apologize, Timothy, if I'm mispronouncing that. Then we have another Chalamet film the same week. It's The French Dispatch, which is directed by one of my favorite working directors, Wes Anderson, written and directed by him. It's got an insanely, an insane ensemble cast, your typical Wes Anderson, usual suspects. You got Bill Murray, you've got Edward Norton, Willem Dafoe, Jason Schwartzman, Angelica Houston, Owen Wilson, yada, yada, yada. It's amazing, this cast. And I'm excited for that one. I think it's been delayed a bit due to the pandemic, but it's coming out this week, so that's exciting. All right, so The French Dispatch. Expect a future review on this show. We also have a quirky little animated comedy called Ron's Gone Wrong. Also has a star-studded voice cast, so that's something to look forward to. We also have looks like a generic sci-fi thriller called Warning, starring Tom Jane, and that's okay. That's pretty missable, I think. We'll see. But gentlemen, we have a few minutes. I just wanted to go around and see if you have any plugs, anything going on, any projects you want to discuss. Mr. Kid Champagne.
Yes, Nostalgia Time is coming back. We're going to be starting with Horror Month. We have some great topics we're going to be talking about. And Randy, you're going to be coming on with me. we're going to be kicking off Horror Month this week with me hosting the show. Our topic is going to be about Gremlins. And then Randy, you're going to be hosting Nostalgia Time.
Oh, for Gremlins?
No, you're gonna have your own topic that we're gonna be discussing on Horror Month.
Okay. I like this.
Coming on this week, it's going to be great leading up to it. And also coming in November, we are going to have celebration of theme parks of Disneyland and also a little hot shot celebration to the 50th anniversary of Walt Disney World. And we'll also be celebrating the Universal Studios theme parks.
Cool.
On Nostalgia Time.
Whew, I'm out of breath. That's a lot. I love it. All right. I look forward to that, Mr. Champagne.
It's gonna be a doozy, and we're gonna just keep on rolling.
Sounds good. Love it. Eric, anything you want to plug at this time?
Nothing near as exciting as that. I think for me, I'm just going to be revisiting some of my favorite Bond films.
Sounds good. Yeah, I definitely have to revisit some as well. And you know what? I meant to ask you guys at the beginning of the show, but what are you watching this week, these days, aside from some Bond films? Matt, what are you watching?
I just finished watching tonight The Muppets Haunted Mansion on Disney Plus.
Worthwhile.
It's worth it. It's worth it. I'll tell you this. It's much better than the Haunted Mansion film with Eddie Murphy. I'll tell you that.
Nice. Eric, what are you watching these days?
Well, me and I think it looks like the rest of the world watched Squid Game. So
yeah, I keep hearing that at work.
I do keep hearing that. Oh,
yeah.
We also need to watch the rebooted series of Legends of the Hidden Temple on the CW. I heard it premiered Sunday, so hopefully it's on Hulu or DVR.
Okay. Worthwhile.
Squid Game was excellent.
Yeah, everybody and their mother loves this show. Or is it? It's not a movie. Is it a series?
It's a show. It's about 9 episodes. It's a South Korean show that just, like I said, just everyone was like, "Hey, Squid Game," and now it is the most watched show on Netflix. And
I feel like this is some evil genius's plot to get everybody to watch it and like brainwash them.
I mean, mission accomplished. It seems like this is the next Bond movie. It's like we'll get everybody to watch Netflix, and no one will stop us now.
Okay, and so guys, I just want to close out the show because I just remembered we did not mention our favorite opening sequences of the Bond films. Off the top of your head, real quick, Eric, any sequences that come to mind?
The two that I would be tied with, I love the opening, the black and white opening to Casino Royale, with him getting his first 2 kills to get 00 status.
Yes.
They planted their flag and they said, this is how it's going to be. And what a great way to do it. And then GoldenEye, I love Bond driving that motorcycle off to catch the plane before it crashes.
It's
The
ridiculous.
whole sequence is great, but
it's totally, it makes no sense, but it's like
then you also have the dam jump at the beginning of GoldenEye. So I'd say it's GoldenEye Casino right there off the top of my head.
Cool. Matt, do you have a favorite opening?
I actually don't.
Okay.
Not that I do have a favorite opening. I do love the openings, but I just don't have a favorite opening.
Okay. Well, one of my favorites that I for some reason rewound and played a lot as a kid was the opening, and this is on VHS, by the way, was the opening to A View to a Kill. It was like this weird, it was like the typical ice chase, on skis.
Yeah.
But then and the music's great up until they play the Beach Boys. I wish they could all be California girls or something like that. It's just a fun one. And again, back to the funky opening music, Bill Conti for Your Eyes Only, really fun. And I think one of the very best, another Roger Moore opening for Octopussy was the that small plane sequence where he goes through the hangar and then a missile's chasing him. The door is closed, the missile hits the door and it blows up and it kills all the bad guys in the warehouse. That was just a brilliant moment. I wanted to mention that before we signed off because that's just a great sequence. James Bond is awesome, guys.
Yes,
We got to revisit all the movies, all 25 of them. They're some of them not so great, some are really great, some are mediocre, but yeah, I'm glad I got to speak about them with you guys tonight. This was really fun. If you want more Under the Radar, we have new episodes on Manhattan Neighborhood Network every Monday at 11 a.m. Eastern. Also, you can check that out on cable TV channels FiOS 34, RCN 83, and Spectrum 56 and 1996. And also feel free to subscribe to the YouTube channel, Under the Radar. And yeah, gentlemen, thank you so much for your time tonight. This was really fun. And everyone watching at home and on your devices, I'm Randy Unger. This has been Under the Radar. I'll see you next time. Take care.